I'm Dan Alexander. I'm a clinical cardiologist at Winchester Cardiology and Vascular Medicine.
I'm Tricia Nashid, also a cardiologist at Winchester Cardiology and Vascular Medicine.
And we're here to share some of the recipes that we make for our own family that we feel are heart healthy and may give you some ideas to cook your own heart healthy meals at home. So I'm going to start with this humble butternut squash, mostly grown in lots of people's gardens. It's healthy, it's got a low glycemic index, but the challenge is how do you cut this thing? It's sort of oblong, it's hard to cut, it's got funny things. So what I do is I just cut the surface, and look at this orange color, this is good, lots of beta carotene there. We slice the other side off, and then I cut it into halves right here, and another half, and then you can see there's a little bit of seeds in this sort of inner material that we need to take off. So we got to get this material out from the inside. So I just take a spoon and pare away that material. You can save this and use it for stock, but I think it's easier just to get rid of it. We're going to take a little bit of oil. This is preferably olive oil, a good source of polyunsaturated fats, has a favorable profile on our lipids. We're going to pour a little bit of oil on each of these. We're going to take a little bit of salt, pepper here. This is a little pepper. I'm going to sprinkle a little pepper. That's a lot of pepper. And a little bit of salt. And this is a very small amount of salt. That's probably about 20 grams, so it's probably less than 5% of your intake per day. And we're going to rub that in there, okay? This is at 400 degrees. So we're going to put this into our oven and roast at 400 degrees. And that's going to take about an hour to roast or less until it's soft and we can easily peel it out of the skin. So we've finished roasting our butternut squash. Look at that beautiful sort of caramelization on the outside, nice and brown. Salt and pepper should come off the skin pretty easily, so you can see you can get the flesh off fairly easy without any difficulties here. Get all that flesh out of there, kind of scrape it off, avoid the skin. So we get all that flesh off of here. All right, so our next step for our soup is we're going to dice up some red onion here. So we're just going to, these have already been kind of cut for us. I'm just going to dice that. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect. All right, so then we start getting our soup pan ready. I'm gonna kick this up to medium heat. All right, I'm gonna get some olive oil. So this is olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. We're gonna heat this up on medium heat. Use a little bit more here. So we got our diced onion. We're gonna put it into our hot oil here. You hear that nice sizzle. We're going to stir that around. I'm going to use this spoon here. So we're going to sweat our onions, get them soft, and then we're going to add stock. So we've gotten our onions softened up. We're going to add 4 cups of stock to that. So this is 4 cups of stock that we're just adding to this. We're going to let that come up to a simmer. So we're going to put our roasted butternut squash flesh into our soup base here. So it just goes right in. This will add the color, this will add the taste, this will add the flavor. We'll mix that through. Mix with a nice spoon here. We'll let that break apart in the base a little bit and cook that just for a little bit, just so that all the big pieces are kind of cooked down and everything's kind of blended together. And this is kind of the base of our soup. All right, so we're going to put that into the Vitamix. You don't have to have a Vitamix. You could use an immersion blender, regular blender. I like these Vitamixes. They also can make grains. They can actually grind grains into flour. All right, well, stand back. We're going to pour it back into our soup pan, or nice and smooth. And here we'll just heat up. We'll need to add some chives, which I have right here, that's pre-chopped, just to finish. That gives a nice little bit of green color and contrast to that yellow. We will also salt and pepper as needed, but we'll start off with about 1 teaspoon of salt and some freshly ground pepper. And that is our butternut squash soup. So the last thing we're going to do for our soup is we're going to add a little bit of acid. Most of these soups need a little bit of acid to sort of round out their flavor. I add a little bit of salt to taste. So we're going to put probably the juice of probably a half lime to give us that nice bit of acid to our soup. We're going to mix that a little bit. And then we're always going to taste, make sure that our flavors are great. That's good.
One of the things we added was citrus to a lot of the portions of the meal. Citrus is a great way to add flavor without adding salt or sugar. This is a good example of a appropriately portioned plate. There is protein, usually about the size of a deck of cards. There is a whole grain, which should keep about the size of your fist or smaller. There is a side of soup. The soup has a lot of beta-carotenes, vitamins. The more color there is to your vegetables, the more nutrients there are. There is another side soup here. Oftentimes you can do a sauteed green or another vegetable. It's a good idea to put 2 vegetables on your plate with each meal. You can do green salads. This one features a lot of bok choy, so although there's some protein in the soup, it also features a fair amount of vegetable.
The other element that we like to introduce in food is sort of non-tasting, so it's color. So you see the color in this soup, the color of the green sauce, that all adds to making food taste better, actually. And that's why we add little small bits of green, or that's also part of the meal itself, but adds that bit of color and makes the meal seem more exciting.